Hi, I'm Sandy Petersen, and this is
Madeline Petersen.
And we are going to talk about superheroes versus Cthulhu. Now, Madeline, you probably don't know this, but I am not particularly a fan of superheroes.
Wait, really?
Really, I read comics back when I was a kid, but instead of superhero comics, I read stuff like Turok, Son of Stone, which is an Apache Indian fighting dinosaurs, or Magnus Robot Fighter, which is about a kung fu guy who fought robots in the future, or the Metalmen, who I guess the Metalmen are technically superheroes, but they're robots, and they get killed almost every comic, and the guys rebuild them, so they're pretty funny. Anyway, my favorite superheroes are the ones that aren't real superheroes, like the Guardians of the Galaxy or Batman. They're just guys, they might have some talents or something, but, I guess some of the Guardians have alien abilities. But despite this, I am often asked my opinion about what superheroes would do good against Cthulhu. So we're going to address that. First off, we have to take away plot armor. You know what plot armor is, Madeline?
Yes.
Okay, good. Obviously, any hero can defeat Cthulhu if the scriptwriter writes it that way. That's what plot armor does, okay? That should go without saying. I'm not even saying it's a bad thing. I mean, if you write a story, you should be allowed to decide how it goes, right? But in this case, we're only going to use the powers and abilities that the comics give the characters and not give them special plot hours saying, oh, and by the way, this lucky thing happened to save the day.
Yeah.
Okay? This should probably help the superheroes because they have the benefit of decades of comic books giving all kinds of special abilities that then later guys said, well, they don't really have this, or we'll ignore it from now on. And Cthulhu is pretty much just like his handful of powers he's given originally, which are admittedly great, but, he didn't have decades of people giving him extra stuff.
Yeah.
So it's just Cthulhu versus our superhero. So initially, we're going to dismiss the superhero who are based on brains or skill, like Batman, Green Arrow, Hawkeye, Black Widow. These guys are like Olympic level athletes and they have cool gadgets. Moon Knight is one of them. I suppose Cthulhu can't actually kill Moon Knight because he resurrects.
Yeah.
Again and again. But Cthulhu's not threatened by him and he can squish Moon Knight every time he comes, okay? So we can also add to this mix superheroes whose powers are a little beyond human. Like Wolverine or Spider-Man or Cyborg. I mean, yeah, they're tougher than a normal person, and I love their stories, but they're not earth-shattering. Like, the basic rule is if your superhero would be threatened by a SWAT team, you're no match.
Well, yeah.
Okay. Now, don't get me wrong. Guys like these are actually my favorite superheroes because they're weaker. I love the fact that Batman's villains are not distinguished by their powers, but by which kind of craziness they have. Not like my favorite villains, okay? Yes. I also like how Spider-Man is trying to balance normal life with being a superhero. I mean, I read his comics when they were coming out in the 60s. Yeah. One of the early things, Spider-Man has to go to the laundromat to wash his costume because it got dirty. And he puts a paper bag on his head so people can't recognize him while the costume's being cleaned. And then he's sitting there said, what do the other superheroes do? And it's funny because the other superheroes, you never talk about that. It just magically gets washed. So I guess Alfred has to wash Batman's suit, but Spider-Man had to do it himself, Or when Spider-Man shows up at the Fantastic Four asking for a job, and they're like, we're not paid, because they're like these rich guys that have lots of money. They don't pay anyone. You don't pay anyone. So he leaves, right? Anyway, but the very thing that makes me like these superheroes is the thing that makes them pushovers for Cthulhu. So, they can't compete. Now, these heroes, of course, they can be really smart, but Cthulhu's intelligence surpasses any humans. Cthulhu is smarter than Ultron, Lex Luthor, or Brainiac. I know those are villains, but they're like the smartest guys in the superhero universe. And Cthulhu's obviously smarter than any of them. I mean, I've seen hero outwit smarter enemies. Like, Spider-Man is not as smart as Doctor Doom, but he can outwit him because, like, Doctor Doom is arrogant and makes mistakes. Well, Cthulhu's been around for billions of years, and he doesn't make mistakes. And he's seen it all. It's theorized by some, including me, that he might be from before the Big Bang, like a previous universe, which is why everybody's different natural laws. So he's seen it all. And he's not arrogant. He just knows what he can do. Arrogance is a human trait, not a Cthulhu trait. Okay. So while any hero, again, is physically superior, like, they're not going to be superior like Cthulhu. Let me put it this way. Cthulhu's physical size and physical attributes surpass humanity's hugely. Say, for example, that you, Madeline, are under attack by a group of ants. Oh. Okay? But they're working together. There's 10 of them. Or one of the ants is 100 times as strong as a regular ant. I think you're still going to win.
Yeah.
Like someone like the Thing who is really strong, isn't going to cut it. I mean, Spider-Man can lift 10 tons. That's not, I mean, Cthulhu doesn't care.
But what if it's little Ant-Man?
He has the strength of a regular dude, except he's tiny.
Okay.
He might be hard for Cthulhu to find. Let's go to a superhero that just has strength going for him. The Incredible Hulk. Okay?
Yes.
Now, it's canonical that the Hulk doesn't have an upper limit to strength. When he's not angry, he can lift about 100 tons.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. It's probably physically ridiculous because ours bones not made of calcium phosphate like ours, right? But who cares? He lifts 100 tons, right? And when he gets mad, it skyrockets. And there's a story where he lifts a star that weighs several octillion tons. I didn't read the story. A friend told me about it. I guess when he's mad, the Hulk is stronger than Cthulhu. So what? What can he do?
What about One Punch Man?
Okay, so One Punch Man can defeat anyone with a single punch, right?
Yep.
But is it because he's strong or because something in his punch magically makes him defeated? I've only seen one Punch Man story, so I'm actually asking.
Okay, well, it's kind of hard to tell because it's never really explained why he has the power that he has.
I think it's because he's bald, like me. That's what gives him power.
Yes, there was one theory on Reddit that it was because he was bald and he became one with his hair. And so that's why he's so powerful.
Well, One Punch Man is a comedy here, but the point is he's like the Hulk. He has a super strong punch. So let's say the Hulk or One Punch Man rockets towards Cthulhu and hits him with his infinite force punch.
Yes.
Okay? Then he will make a Hulk-shaped hole clear through Cthulhu.
Okay.
So, the Hulk could throw a skyscraper at Cthulhu. I'm not sure One Punch Man could do that because it's just about the punch, right? A skyscraper hitting Cthulhu would probably pop him and he'd have to reform around it.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. One Punch Man or Hulk can't pick up Cthulhu and throw him into the sun because Cthulhu's a giant blob. He could, like, make his hand sticky with Cthulhu stuff if Cthulhu didn't want to move, but he can't really pick it up.
Okay. Well, okay, maybe I believe that One Punch Man is a lot stronger than the Hulk. Maybe One Punch Man couldn't be able to defeat Cthulhu, but I don't think Cthulhu would be able to defeat One Punch Man either.
Well, but
it would be a standstill.
Here's why Cthulhu can defeat One Punch Man or the Incredible Hulk. Now, I don't know about One Punch Man, but the Hulk is famously vulnerable to mental control, and Cthulhu has telepathy. He could absolutely take mental control of the Hulk. I don't know if he could do it to One Punch Man because I don't know what his mental powers are. I assume he's got that thing on his head, so maybe that stops mental control. Okay. So the other thing is the Hulk and One Punch Man need oxygen to live. We know the Hulk can suffocate to death. It's almost happened a few times. So if Cthulhu simply like looped Hulk into his body, and then Hulk would be there and couldn't breathe. Now, of course, I guess Hulk could spin his arms and legs like an egg beater and just make Cthulhu upset. But Cthulhu could also fly up into space, pop Hulk out into an orbit, then go back, and Hulk would like orbit the Earth and suffocate. I think that might also work on One Punch Man.
I think that One Punch Man would just break free and go out.
They don't get plot armor. One Punch Man relies on a lot of plot armor. So much, you could even say that's his superpower. Which is a pretty cool superpower. Anyway, what about gadgets? So superheroes use lots of gadgets, not just Batman, but lots of others. They have scientific... Reed Richards is Mr. Fantastic, can stretch and stuff and do things, but he also has all the science. But here's the problem, okay? Cthulhu knows all the science we know and beyond. And he has a cult big enough to get any equipment he needs. Okay? If Batman got his hands on a huge particle beam, which we know can affect Cthulhu, or a nuclear bomb, which might affect Cthulhu, but then a non-Batman guy could fire a particle beam or launch a nuclear bomb. Batman doesn't add anything to the mix. He's not better because he has that, right? A lot of superheroes have really strong minds and could probably resist Cthulhu's hideousness and mental challenge. Batman could probably do it because Batman is probably already clinically psychotic, so can't go more insane. But the Hulk can't.
Debatable.
Okay? What I'm trying to get at here is despite the fact that these are the superheroes I like the most, they don't cut it. We got to go to the other end of the scale, the superheroes. I mean, I guess the Hulk was kind of one of them, but like the mighty ones. So I want to go straight to the top. The superhero who's so super that his comics are boring. Superman. Even as a kid, when I was reading Superman, I could tell his comics, they couldn't do things with enemies very much. It was like, Jimmy Olsen has a problem. Go save him. So what can Superman do? Okay, he can fly faster than light. That's probably faster than Cthulhu can fly. I mean, Cthulhu goes through space. I'm sure he's faster than light too. But I'm willing to admit that Superman can go faster than Cthulhu. Superman's really strong. He's probably stronger than Cthulhu. He can pick up planets and throw them around. I guess the Hulk did that once too, sort of. He just lifted it, not threw it around, but whatever. Okay, now Cthulhu doesn't do that. Now let's ignore the fact it makes no sense to throw a planet, because if you had so much effort you'd push on the planet, then you would just like punch your hand into the planet, right? I mean, but sheer strength, again, can't beat Cthulhu. What can Superman do? Punch a hole through him? Cthulhu won't care. I guess he could throw a mountain at him or zip back and forth across the ocean to make a tsunami to hit him. But at this point, if he's doing that, Superman is probably damaging the world more than Cthulhu is. So Cthulhu's sort of on board with it. Now, two other powers he has that he can use, and one of them is really stupid, his super breath. Okay? Which he can use to freeze things. I mean, we know how big Superman's lungs are, because, like, he has a human chest. Especially since he does this in space. He'll, like, go into space and blow on a planet and freeze it. And it's like, like, how cold would his lungs... It doesn't make any sense, right?
It's fine.
He can blow around planets. Assuming that he has this power, however it comes, I'm sure he can sort of freeze Cthulhu with it. Now, you can't actually freeze Cthulhu, okay, because he's not water-based. Okay, and I'm pretty sure Cthulhu stays mobile even at absolute zero. But what he could do is put a sheath of ice around Cthulhu that he'd have to break through, kind of slow him down for a little bit. That would probably work. But his last power is heat vision, which makes even less sense than the freeze breath.
How?
I don't know why he has heat vision, but he has it. I have to admit it, that Superman being so fast and being so strong and having freeze breath and having heat vision and having, I guess, X-ray vision so he can see when he's coming, that probably makes him, I hate to say it, tougher than Cthulhu on a one-for-one basis. Now, we could consider other lesser but still potent superheroes like Galactus or the Green Lantern or the Flash or the Scarlet Witch, but really, these are just all kind of suckier versions of Superman, so they would have a tougher time against Cthulhu.
Yeah.
So, how can Cthulhu win? Well, first off, Cthulhu's really smart. And it's highly likely that Cthulhu cannot be killed by any technique available to even Superman. Okay? Now, of course, Superman has fought other unkillable villains. Maybe he could lock Cthulhu away somewhere at the center of core of Mars or something where he wouldn't be able to get out for a long time.
We're in the Phantom Zone?
Well, the Phantom Zone, Cthulhu could probably get back to him pretty fast. He's good at interdimensional stuff. He can, I mean, there's rat creatures that can do it in his universe.
Oh, yeah.
So, now, Cthulhu does have, however, his whole evil cult and an army of Starspawn. Now, if we let Cthulhu has his friends, then I guess we should also let Superman have, like, the League of Super Friends to help him, okay? The whole Justice League. But I really don't think that'll make a difference. Because Superman by himself is kind of already as good as the whole rest of the Justice League.
Yeah. He's way too overpowered.
Even with the Justice League, if Cthulhu rises from the deep with all his army, something you may have to consider is, you know, there's not just one Cthulhu. I mean, there's one Cthulhu.
Yeah.
That's just one of the Starspawn. There's millions of them. So see, there's a million Starspawn, plus Shoggoths, and then the magic they have. Oh, that's something. That's how he can be Superman. Magic. Superman is vulnerable to magic. And Cthulhu has magic. In fact, the thing you mentioned about the Phantom Zone, that Cthulhu has interdimensional travel. He can put Superman in the Phantom Zone. He can put One Punch Man in the Phantom Zone, where he can go beating up people all he wants inside the Phantom Zone. Now, maybe One Punch Man can punch his way out of the Phantom Zone. I'm not sure.
Yeah, okay? He could.
But I don't think he can stop. And what we know, One Punch Man can't stop bad guys from destroying vast swaths of Japan, because they do it all the time.
It's not quite Japan, though.
Well, it's Japan-ish.
Okay.
Is Japania, right? But the point is that One Punch Man runs up to Cthulhu and punches him into the moon, and then the other million Starspawn, like, eat everything. And One Punch Man comes back, and all his friends are gone, and he's sad, and he goes depressed a lot. And he dies of sadness, or he just sits around being sad.
Okay, that's
summary.
True.
So in summary, if someone is arguing with you and say, I think Wonder Woman or whoever could beat Cthulhu, you can just say, yeah, it's possible. But the problem from my point of view is this, Madeline. You see, Superman has all these amazing powers from having been around for over 80 years.
Yeah.
Accumulating things. But the bottom line is that Superman is imaginary. He doesn't exist. But Cthulhu is real.
What?